The alien ship appeared in the sky above New Busan like a dark metal storm cloud. Captain Lee Taman watched from the observation deck of his vessel, Soul's Pride, as the massive Valkyrie warship descended toward the human colony. He had seen alien ships before, but this one felt different. This one carried trouble. "Sir, incoming transmission from the alien vessel," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Park Junho. "They're demanding immediate audience with our colonial governor." Taman nodded grimly. "Patch me through to Governor Kim Sora. She needs to know what's coming." Down on the planet's surface, Governor Kim Sora stood in the main plaza of New Busan, watching as hundreds of her people gathered to see the alien visitors. Children pointed excitedly at the ship while their parents held them close. Nobody knew what was about to happen, but Sora had a bad feeling in her stomach. The alien delegation emerged from their ship with all the arrogance of conquerors. Leading them was Ambassador Thexmore, a tall Valkyrie with silver skin and cold black eyes. Behind him marched representatives from 11 other alien species, each one looking down at the humans like they were insects. "I am Thexmore of the Valkyrie Empire," the ambassador announced, his voice booming across the plaza through translation devices. "I speak for the Galactic Hegemony, the rightful rulers of this galaxy." Governor Sora stepped forward, keeping her voice calm and steady. "Welcome to New Busan. I am Governor Kim Sora. What brings you to our world?" Thexmore's black eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "We bring you an ultimatum, human. Your species has expanded too far, too fast. You have claimed too many worlds, built too many colonies. The hegemony has decided that humanity is a threat to galactic peace." The crowd murmured uneasily. Children stopped pointing and started hiding behind their parents. Sora felt her heart racing, but she kept her face calm. "What exactly are you saying, Ambassador?" "I am saying that humanity has 30 standard days to withdraw from all colonies and return to your original solar system. You will remain there under our supervision. Any attempt to leave Sol will be met with immediate destruction." The plaza fell silent. Even the wind seemed to stop blowing. Sora looked at the alien delegation, then at her people, then back at Thexmore. "And if we refuse?" Thexmore smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then we will destroy every human colony, every human ship, and every human life outside of Sol. Your species will learn to obey or cease to exist." Up in orbit, Captain Taman was recording everything. His jaw tightened as he listened to the aliens' words. These creatures had no idea what they were threatening. They saw humanity's 8,000 registered warships and thought they understood human military power. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park Junho quietly, "should we intervene?" "No," Taman replied. "Let them finish their performance. Admiral Park Soman needs to hear every word of this." Back on the surface, Governor Sora was thinking fast. She knew about the hidden human military capabilities, though not their full extent. She also knew that showing fear or anger now would only encourage the aliens. 30 days, she said calmly. "That's your offer?" "It is not an offer," Thexmore snapped. "It is a command from your superiors. The hegemony controls 50,000 warships. We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have destroyed species more advanced than yours for much smaller offenses." "I see." Sora nodded. "And you believe 50,000 ships is enough?" Something in her tone made Thexmore pause. For just a moment, uncertainty flickered in his black eyes. "More than enough to deal with your primitive vessels." Governor Sora smiled, and somehow that smile was more frightening than any threat. "I will pass your message to Human Command. They will be very interested to hear it." "There is nothing to discuss," Thexmore declared. 30 days. Comply or die." The alien delegation returned to their ship without another word. As the vessel lifted off and disappeared into space, the crowd began talking excitedly. Some were scared, others angry. But Governor Sora noticed that many of her people were smiling the same cold smile she had worn. They knew something the aliens didn't. Within hours, the message reached Admiral Park Sumin at Human Command on Mars. She sat in her office, reading the transcript of the ultimatum while several other high-ranking officers waited for her response. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and life support systems. 50,000 ships, said General Bai Seokjin, shaking his head. "They really think that's impressive." "They counted our registered fleet," replied Colonel Nam Yunji. "They have no idea about the ghost fleets, the AI vessels, or the classified projects." Admiral Park looked up from her reading. Her face was calm, but her eyes were steel. They studied our colonies and thought they understood us. They counted our visible ships and assumed they knew our strength. They made the mistake of thinking we would fight by their rules. "What are your orders, Admiral?" asked Captain Yoon Hyok. Park stood and walked to the large window overlooking the Martian landscape. In the distance, she could see the construction facilities where humanity's secret weapons were being built. Ships that could phase through matter, AI systems that could predict enemy movements, weapons that could age metal to dust in seconds. "Send a message to all human colonies," she said quietly. "Tell them to remain calm and continue normal operations. Send another message to all fleet commanders. Begin Phase 1 of the Nemesis Protocol." "And our response to the aliens?" asked General Bay. Admiral Park turned back to face her officers. Her smile was the same cold expression Governor Sora had worn. "Send them a simple message. Message received. You have 29 days to reconsider your mistake." As the officers left to carry out their orders, Admiral Park remained at the window. The aliens thought they were giving humanity an ultimatum. They had no idea they had just signed their own death warrant. Across human space, hidden facilities began awakening. Secret shipyards started final preparations. Cloaked vessels received new orders. In 30 days, the galaxy was going to learn why declaring war on humanity was the last mistake the hegemony would ever make. The countdown had begun. For 29 days, human space fell silent. The Velkari Empire sent probe ships to monitor human colonies, expecting to see massive evacuation fleets or desperate military preparations. Instead, they found nothing. Human ships continued their normal trade routes. Colonists went about their daily lives. Children still played in the streets of New Busan while their parents worked in the fields and factories. Ambassador Thexmore sat in his command ship, staring at reports from across human territory. "This makes no sense," he muttered to his aide, Commander Vexkol. "Where are their evacuation ships? Where are their military preparations?" "Perhaps they are planning to comply," Vexkol suggested. 30 days is not much time to move billions of humans." Thexmore's black eyes narrowed. "Or perhaps they are planning something else." What the aliens couldn't see was the truth. Deep beneath the surface of the human colony world Sejong, engineer Oh Minho worked in a facility that didn't officially exist. The underground complex stretched for kilometers, filled with the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. "Final systems check on the Phantom Fleet," Minho called out to his team. Around him, hundreds of technicians worked on ships that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. These vessels existed in quantum superposition, able to phase through solid matter at will. "All ships show green across the board," reported Dr. Kim Ji-won, his chief assistant. "The quantum cores are stable and the phase generators are operating at 100% efficiency." Minho nodded grimly. "The aliens think they know our capabilities because they've seen our merchant vessels and patrol ships. They have no idea what we've really been building." 3 systems away, Colonel Nam Yunji stood in another hidden facility on the world of Incheon. But this wasn't a shipyard. This was something much more dangerous, a biological warfare laboratory. But not the kind that created plagues or poisons. This lab created something far more terrifying. Perfect understanding. "Status report on Project Clarity," she ordered. "Complete genetic and biological profiles on all 12 hegemony species," replied Dr. Shin Nari, the facility's head scientist. "We know their weaknesses, their strengths, their metabolisms, and their neural patterns. We can shut down their weapons without harming them, or we can stop their hearts with a single injection." Colonel Nam smiled coldly. "Perfect. The aliens think they're the apex predators because they've conquered other species through brute force. They don't understand that true predators study their prey." Meanwhile, Captain Yoon Hyuk drifted silently through space in his stealth vessel, Ghost Runner. His ship was completely invisible to every form of detection the aliens possessed. For the past 15 days, he had been mapping every hegemony military installation within 50 light-years. "Ghost Runner to Shadow Command," he whispered into his communicator. "I have complete tactical data on the Velkari Home Defense Fleet. 47 heavy cruisers, 18 battleships, and 1 command dreadnought. All positions confirmed." "Copy that, Ghost Runner," came the reply from Colonel Nam Yunji. "Proceed to the Nixari collective staging area. We need full intelligence on their fleet movements." Yoon's ship turned silently and disappeared into the darkness between stars. Behind him, floating in space like invisible phantoms, were 2,000 other stealth vessels. Each one was gathering intelligence, positioning for the coming battle, waiting for the order to strike. The aliens had no idea they were being watched. On the hegemony command ship Eternal Dominion, Fleet Admiral Corthex of the Velkari studied tactical displays showing human space. 29 days and still no response to our ultimatum. Either these humans are the most arrogant species in the galaxy, or they're planning something. What could they possibly plan? Scoffed Admiral Zektha of the Nexari Collective. Our scouts report no unusual military activity. Their fleet numbers remain the same. 8,000 ships against our 50,000. Even if they refuse to surrender, this will be over in days. Corthex wasn't convinced. Something feels wrong. 3 centuries ago, we gave the Carillion Empire a similar ultimatum. They immediately began moving their fleets and evacuating their colonies. These humans show no such reaction. Because they know resistance is futile, declared Admiral Telvor of the Draconic Assembly. They will surrender at the last moment, begging for mercy. All primitive species do. Back on Mars, Admiral Park Soman received hourly reports from across human space. Each report confirmed what she already knew. Humanity was ready. 29 days of apparent inactivity had been 29 days of final preparations. Admiral, said General Bai Seokjin, entering her office with a datapad. Latest status from all sectors. The Ghost Fleet reports all vessels in position. Project Nemesis shows full operational capacity. The Reaper protocol is loaded and ready for deployment. Admiral Park nodded. And our allies? The AI networks are fully synchronized. Every artificial intelligence in human space is connected and ready to coordinate. They can process battlefield data faster than any biological mind and react in nanoseconds. Good. Admiral Park stood and walked to her window again. In the distance, she could see the secret shipyards where humanity's true fleet had been built. Not 8,000 ships, but 80,000. Not primitive vessels, but warships so advanced they seemed like magic. You know, General, she said quietly, the aliens made a fundamental error in their calculations. What's that, Admiral? They studied our registered merchant fleet and assumed those represented our military capabilities. They looked at our colonies and thought they saw all our industrial capacity. They counted our visible ships and believed they understood our numbers. Admiral Park turned to face him, her eyes hard as steel. They forgot the first rule of warfare. Never assume your enemy is showing you their full strength. General Bay smiled grimly. 24 hours until the deadline. Yes. And then these aliens will learn what happens when you threaten humanity. Admiral Park moved to her desk and began typing a message. Send this to all fleet commanders. Operation Ghost Dawn is authorized. All vessels are weapons-free upon my signal. As the message went out across human space, invisible ships began moving into final positions. Hidden weapons came online, biological warfare systems activated. AI networks synchronized their targeting data. The aliens thought they had given humanity 30 days to surrender. What they had actually done was give humanity 30 days to prepare their destruction. In the deepest vaults of Earth, ancient human leaders had once written, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." The aliens had seen humanity speaking softly for 300 years. Tomorrow, they would finally see the stick, and it was much, much bigger than they could possibly imagine. Day 30 arrived with the silence of space itself. Across the galaxy, 50,000 alien warships held position at the borders of human space. The combined fleets of 12 species, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history, waited for humanity's response to their ultimatum. On the bridge of the hegemony flagship Eternal Dominion, Fleet Admiral Corthex watched the tactical displays with growing unease. 30 days had passed and still no word from the humans. No surrender, no evacuation fleets, no desperate military preparations, just silence. Sir, reported his communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from Human Command. It's being broadcast on all frequencies across the entire galaxy. Corthex straightened in his command chair. Finally, the humans would beg for mercy. Put it through. The view screen flickered and Admiral Park Soman appeared. She sat calmly behind her desk on Mars, hands folded, expression serene. Behind her, through the window, the red landscape of Mars stretched to the horizon. Greetings, she began, her voice clear and steady. I am Admiral Park Soman of Human Command. 30 days ago, you delivered an ultimatum to our species. You demanded that humanity withdraw to our home system or face total destruction. Admiral Cortex smiled, settling back in his chair. Here it comes, he thought. The begging. The pleading for mercy. Today I deliver our response, Admiral Park continued. Her voice remained calm, but something in her eyes made Cortex's smile fade. You declared war on humanity. Now we'll show you why that was a mistake. The transmission continued, and Admiral Park's words sent ice through the veins of every alien commander listening. For 30 days, you have mistaken our silence for weakness. You counted our visible ships and assumed you knew our strength. You studied our colonies and thought you understood our capabilities. You have made 3 critical errors. On the Nexari command ship Silent Death, Admiral Zektha leaned forward, suddenly alert. Something in the human's tone was wrong. This wasn't surrender. This was something else entirely. First, Admiral Park said, you assumed we would fight fair. You expected us to meet your fleets in open battle, ship against ship according to your rules of warfare. You were wrong. In the depths of space, Captain Yoon Hyuk smiled grimly as he listened to the transmission. Around his stealth ship, 2,000 other invisible vessels waited for the signal to attack. They had been in position for weeks, cloaked and silent, surrounding the alien fleets like wolves around sheep. Second, the Admiral continued, you believed your numbers mattered. 50,000 ships seems impressive until you realize you've been looking at the wrong numbers entirely. Fleet Admiral Cortex felt his blood turn cold. What did she mean, wrong numbers? Third, and most importantly, Admiral Park's voice grew harder. You forgot that we are the species that survived the death of our homeworld and rebuilt our civilization from ashes. You forgot that humanity clawed its way out of primitive darkness to claim the stars. You forgot what that kind of survival instinct creates. The transmission paused, and in that silence, every alien commander in the galaxy felt the weight of impending doom. You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleets and issue a formal apology, Admiral Park said finally. After that, we will demonstrate why humanity's ancestors crawled out of primordial caves to become the apex predators of Earth, and why we will become the apex predators of this galaxy. The transmission ended. Silence filled the alien command bridges. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Fleet Admiral Cortex exploded into laughter. An hour? They give us an hour? These arrogant primitives think they can threaten the combined might of the hegemony. Around him, his bridge crew began laughing as well. The tension of the past 30 days broke like a dam, releasing waves of mocking laughter across the alien fleets. Admiral, gasped his tactical officer between laughs. Shall we respond to their ultimatum? Oh yes. Cortex wiped tears from his eyes. Send this message to all human colonies. Your hour is up before it began. We are moving to attack immediately. Prepare to witness the consequences of your arrogance. Across the alien fleets, ships began powering up weapons and adjusting course toward human space. 50,000 vessels, the pride of 12 civilizations, moved forward to crush 8,000 human ships. On Mars, Admiral Park received confirmation that the alien fleets were advancing. She stood slowly, walked to her window, and activated her personal communicator. All units, she said quietly. This is Admiral Park. The hour is up. The aliens have chosen their fate. She paused, looking out at the red Martian landscape where humanity had built its first interplanetary colony centuries ago, where humans had learned to survive in hostile environments, where they had developed the technologies that would reshape the galaxy. Operation Ghost Dawn is now active, she continued. Show them what we really are. Deep beneath the surface of Sejong, Engineer Ominho pressed a single button. Across human space, hidden facilities came alive. Quantum generators hummed to power. Cloaked shipyards opened their doors. Phantom Fleet is launching, he reported. 200 quantum phase vessels now departing stealth positions. In the biological warfare facility on Incheon, Dr. Shin Nari activated her systems. Reaper protocol is active. Species-specific countermeasures are loaded and ready for deployment. On Earth, in facilities buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, artificial intelligence networks that had been dormant for decades suddenly awakened. Millions of processing cores came online simultaneously, their combined computing power exceeding the mental capacity of every biological mind in the galaxy. AI Command is operational, reported Commander Han Jisoo from the Central Control Facility. All networks are synchronized and ready for combat coordination. And in the darkness between stars, Captain Yoon Hyuk received the signal he had been waiting 30 days to hear. Ghost Fleet, this is Admiral Park, came the transmission. You are weapons free. Show them how humans hunt. 2,000 invisible ships suddenly appeared on alien sensors as they dropped their cloaking fields. But they didn't appear where the aliens expected them to be. They appeared inside the alien formations. They appeared on the alien ships' bridges. They appeared in the alien engine rooms and weapons bays and command centers. The aliens had expected to fight 8,000 human ships in open space. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that could walk through their hulls like ghosts, that could appear anywhere and strike from everywhere, that had been watching them and learning their weaknesses for 30 years. Fleet Admiral Cortex stared in horror as his tactical display lit up with impossible contacts. Human ships inside his formations, human soldiers on his bridges, human weapons that his shields couldn't stop. How? He whispered. The answer came in Admiral Park's final transmission, broadcast as the battle began. You asked us to show you why declaring war on humanity was a mistake. Class is now in session. The first phase of humanity's response lasted exactly 18 minutes. In those 18 minutes, the largest military force in galactic history was reduced to scattered wreckage and confused survivors trying to understand what had just happened to them. Captain Kang Mirai materialized on the bridge of the Valkyrie, flagship Eternal Dominion, like a ghost stepping through a wall. Her quantum phase armor allowed her to exist partially in normal space and partially in quantum superposition, making her effectively untouchable. Fleet Admiral Cortex spun around, his black eyes wide with terror as he watched this human woman walk through his ship's hull as if it were air. Impossible, he whispered. Your shields are designed to stop energy weapons and solid projectiles, Kang said calmly, her voice carrying clearly through the bridge. They can't stop something that exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously. She raised her weapon, a device that looked deceptively simple. This is a temporal displacement rifle. It can age your ship's hull to dust in seconds or trap your engines in a time loop. Which would you prefer? Cortex looked around his bridge desperately. His crew was backing away from the human, their weapons useless against an enemy who could phase through matter at will. Through the viewports, he could see his fleet dissolving into chaos as more human ships appeared inside his formations. Surrender your vessel, Admiral, Kang said. You have 10 seconds to comply. Across the alien fleet, similar scenes played out on dozens of command ships. Human soldiers appearing through walls, human weapons that ignored shields and armor, human technology that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. Commander Han Jisoo coordinated the assault from her command ship, Hidden Thunder. Around her, holographic displays showed the battle unfolding across 12 star systems simultaneously. But this wasn't really a battle. It was a demonstration. Phase 2 is now active, she announced. Ghost Fleet, reveal yourselves. Throughout space, what the aliens had thought was empty vacuum suddenly filled with ships. Thousands of vessels that had been cloaked and waiting, positioned perfectly to surround every alien formation. The aliens' numerical advantage of 6-1 became a 2-1 disadvantage in an instant. But these weren't ordinary ships. These were vessels controlled by artificial intelligence networks that could process battlefield information faster than any biological mind could think. Admiral Zektha of the Nexari Collective watched, in horror as his tactical display lit up with new contacts. Where did they come from? He screamed at his sensor officer. Unknown, sir. They were invisible to all our detection systems. Fire everything! Destroy them! The Nexari fleet opened fire with every weapon they possessed. Plasma cannons, fusion torpedoes, gravity bombs, particle beams. The combined firepower of 1,000 ships focused on the human vessels. Not a single shot hit its target. The human ships moved like living things, dodging attacks with impossible precision. Their AI-controlled navigation systems could predict where enemy fire would be aimed and move out of the way before the weapons were even fired. Impossible, Zektha whispered as he watched his fleet's devastating barrage harmlessly light up empty space. Nothing moves that fast. His answer came as human ships began returning fire. But they didn't just shoot randomly. Every shot was perfectly aimed, every weapon precisely targeted. Human AI calculated the exact point where alien shields were weakest, where armor was thinnest, where a single hit would cause maximum damage with minimum loss of life. Alien ships began shutting down, their engines dead, their weapons offline. their life support systems barely functioning, but their crews were unharmed. Major Lim Tae-hyung led the ground phase of the operation, commanding human forces that landed on 12 alien worlds simultaneously. But his orders weren't to conquer or destroy. His orders were far more terrifying to the alien leadership. Protect the civilians, he commanded his troops as they deployed on the Velkari homeworld. Establish defensive perimeters around all population centers. Do not allow the Velkari military to use their own people as shields. The human soldiers moved with precision through alien cities, their advanced armor making them nearly invulnerable to alien weapons. But instead of attacking civilians, they protected them. Instead of destroying infrastructure, they repaired it. Instead of imposing martial law, they ensured normal life could continue. Why? Demanded a Velkari general who had been captured trying to destroy a power plant to deny it to the humans. Why do you protect our people? Major Lim looked at the alien officer with something almost like pity. Because we're not monsters, he said simply. We came here to end a war, not to commit genocide. The general stared at him in confusion. In 3,000 years of hegemony rule, victory had always meant subjugation or extermination. The concept of protective conquest was incomprehensible. Dr. Yang Soyeon supervised the final phase from her laboratory ship, Scientific Truth. She watched as her biological weapons deployed across the alien fleets. But these weren't weapons designed to kill. They were weapons designed to demonstrate humanity's complete mastery over alien biology. Reaper Protocol is now active, she reported, deploying species-specific countermeasures. Across space, alien weapons began shutting down as nanobots invaded their systems. But these microscopic machines didn't destroy the weapons. They simply prevented them from firing. Alien soldiers found their personal weapons becoming inert in their hands, while their ship's computers displayed a simple message in their own languages. Weapons disabled for your protection. Some aliens tried to activate backup systems or emergency protocols. They discovered that the humans had anticipated every possible countermeasure. Every backup system had been mapped and neutralized. Every emergency protocol had been studied and countered. How long have they been studying us? Whispered a draconic assembly technician as he watched his ship's systems shut down one by one. The answer was more terrifying than he could imagine. 200 years. For 2 centuries, human intelligence operatives had infiltrated alien societies, learned their languages, studied their technologies, mapped their weaknesses. What the aliens thought was first contact had actually been the conclusion of the longest intelligence operation in galactic history. Within 6 hours, it was over. 50,000 alien warships hung powerless in space, their weapons dead, their engines disabled, their crews alive but defeated. Not a single human ship had been destroyed. Human casualties numbered in the dozens, mostly from equipment accidents. Fleet Admiral Korthek sat in his command chair, staring at screens that showed only the wreckage of the greatest military force in galactic history. His flagship's weapons were dead. His engines were offline. His communication systems would only receive, not transmit. A new voice came through the speakers. Admiral Park Soman, broadcasting from Human Command on Mars. Admiral Korthex, she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. You wanted to know why declaring war on humanity was a mistake. Have we sufficiently demonstrated the answer? Korthex tried to speak, but no words came. Around him, his bridge crew sat in stunned silence. Your fleets are disabled, not destroyed, Admiral Park continued. Your crews are alive, not dead. Your worlds are protected, not conquered. This was our choice, not your right. Remember that. The transmission paused, and when it resumed, the Admiral's voice carried a warning that would echo through the galaxy for generations. You are alive because we permit it. You will survive because we allow it. And if you ever threaten us again, we will demonstrate that our mercy has limits. 3 days after the battle that wasn't really a battle, President Ro Jung-ho stood before the Galactic Assembly for the first time in human history. The Great Hall on the neutral world of Kepler Station had been built for meetings between the 12 species of the hegemony. Now it hosted a very different kind of gathering. Representatives from every alien species sat in their designated sections, but they were no longer the proud rulers of the galaxy. They were defeated peoples trying to understand what had happened to their world order. Many still couldn't believe that their vast fleets had been neutralized so completely, so quickly, with so little human effort. Honored delegates, President Rowe began, his voice calm and measured. 3 days ago, your leaders declared war on humanity. They demanded our surrender or promised our extinction. Today I stand before you to explain why that was never going to happen. Ambassador Thexmore, the Velkari who had delivered the original ultimatum, sat in silence. His silver skin had turned pale, and his black eyes held none of their former arrogance. Beside him, representatives from the other 11 species looked equally shaken. For 200 years, the president continued, you believed you were the masters of this galaxy. You conquered worlds, subjugated species, and built an empire based on fear and superior firepower. What you didn't realize is that humanity was watching, learning, and preparing. He gestured to a holographic display that materialized above the assembly floor. It showed star maps with thousands of markers indicating human intelligence operations across alien space. Every trade mission we sent to your worlds carried intelligence operatives. Every diplomatic exchange included spies who studied your technologies and weaknesses. Every human merchant who visited your ports was gathering information about your military capabilities. The alien delegates murmured among themselves. Finally understanding the scope of humanity's preparation, they had thought they were dealing with a young, naive species. Instead, they had been studied like specimens in a laboratory. Admiral Park Sumin stepped forward to address the assembly. You made several critical assumptions about humanity, she said. First, you assumed our registered merchant fleet represented our actual military capabilities. In reality, we've been building our true fleet in hidden shipyards for over a century. New holographic displays showed massive construction facilities that had been completely invisible to alien intelligence services. Shipyards built inside asteroids, factories hidden in gas giant atmospheres, research stations cloaked in deep space. Second, you assumed that because you had never seen our advanced weapons, they didn't exist. You forgot that any species capable of interstellar travel must have mastered physics you don't understand. The displays showed human quantum phase technology, temporal displacement weapons, AI coordination networks, and biological countermeasures specifically designed for each alien species. Third, and most importantly, you assumed that because we appeared peaceful, we were weak. You confused restraint with inability. President Rowe took over again, his expression growing more serious. The truth is, we could have destroyed every ship in your fleets. We could have eliminated your entire species if we had chosen to. Instead, we demonstrated something you seem incapable of understanding: the power of mercy. He looked directly at the alien delegates, his gaze moving from one species to another. Your soldiers are alive. Your fleets can be repaired. Your worlds are unharmed. This was our choice, not because we had to, but because we chose to show you that strength doesn't require cruelty. Ambassador Song Hyerin, humanity's new diplomatic representative, stood to address the practical concerns. The question now is what happens next. The old hegemony is finished. Your military alliance is broken. Your assumption of galactic dominance is ended. But that doesn't mean your species must suffer. She activated new displays showing proposed trade routes, technology exchanges, and cooperative research projects. Humanity offers you a choice. Join us in building a new galactic community based on mutual respect and cooperation, or remain isolated within your own territories under our protection. Admiral Zektha of the Nexari finally found his voice. Protection? You mean conquest? No, Ambassador Song replied firmly. We mean exactly what we said. Any species that chooses isolation will be left alone, with guarantees that no other power will threaten them. Any species that chooses cooperation will be welcomed as equals in building something better than the hegemony ever was. The alien delegates looked at each other uncertainly. This wasn't how conquest usually worked. Victorious species didn't offer choices to the defeated. They didn't protect those who refused cooperation. President Rowe sensed their confusion and addressed it directly. You're struggling to understand our motives because you've never encountered a species like humanity before. We don't conquer for the sake of dominance. We don't destroy for the pleasure of destruction. We fight only when threatened, and we stop fighting the moment the threat is ended. He paused, letting his words sink in. But make no mistake about our capabilities. What you witnessed 3 days ago was not our full strength. It was a demonstration designed to end this conflict with minimum loss of life. If you or any other species ever threatens humanity or our allies again, the next demonstration will be considerably more final. Captain Lee Taman, now promoted to Admiral and Commander of the new Human Peacekeeping Corps, stood to deliver the final message. Effective immediately, the human peacekeeping corps will patrol this galaxy to prevent future conflicts. Any species that attempts to build the kind of aggressive empire the hegemony represented will be stopped before they can threaten others. He looked around the assembly hall, his gaze steady and unwavering. We offer peace to all who approach us honestly. We offer partnership to all who treat others with respect. We offer protection to all who need it. But we also offer something else. The hall fell completely silent as he continued. We offer a guarantee that never again will one species be able to threaten the extinction of another. The age of galactic empires built on fear and conquest is over. The age of cooperation and mutual growth begins now. Ambassador Thexmore finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. And if we refuse? If some species cannot accept this new order? Admiral Lee's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes made every alien in the hall understand exactly what humanity was capable of. Then they will learn why declaring war on humanity was the last mistake the hegemony ever made. The assembly ended with the signing of the Kepler Accords, establishing the new Galactic Cooperation Council with humanity as its first peacekeeping force. Most alien species chose to join the new order, eager to benefit from human protection and technology. A few species chose isolation and were granted it, with human fleets ensuring their borders remained secure from any external threats. And in the deep archives of human command, Admiral Park Soman filed away the final report on Operation Ghost Dawn. The galaxy now knew what humanity was capable of when threatened. More importantly, they knew that humanity preferred peace but was prepared for war, valued cooperation but excelled at destruction, offered friendship to those who approached honestly, and extinction to those who threatened the innocent. The last message from human command had been delivered, and its meaning would echo through the galaxy for 1,000 years. You declared war on humanity. Now you know why that was a mistake. The age of human dominance hadn't begun with conquest. It had begun with the choice to be merciful to those who had shown no mercy to others. And that choice, more than any weapon or fleet, made humanity the apex predator of the galaxy. Peace reigned among the stars, enforced not by fear, but by the knowledge that those who protected it were capable of unimaginable destruction when pushed too far. Humanity had spoken softly for 300 years. When forced to show their stick, they had used it with precision, restraint, and devastating effectiveness. The galaxy was a safer place because of it.